Okay, we'd like to go ahead and open and welcome you all to New Perspective series on Mahasaraswati, which is being hosted by the LaGrange Sri Aurobindo Integral Life Center here in Fountain Inn, South Carolina, as well as Aura University and Sri Aurobindo Integral Life Center in Surat, India. And today our very, very special guest speaker and dearest of dear friends is Aurelio from Svatam. Aurelio, we welcome you so much. Always greatly honored to have you here with us and your team, and to be able to share with our attendees your expertise and knowledge in this field of the Mahasaraswati and the other Mahashaktis, and of course your music acumen, if you will. So today, Aurelio offers a shared reflection for the exploration of the living premise that all life is yoga. And about his session, Aurelio says, we'll look at how conscious action, knowledge, and understanding can be applied to our daily routines, turning not just our quiet contemplations, but our work, studies, and communication into an authentic spiritual practice. Today, Aurelio will help us discover how to make every material activity a meaningful expression of sadhana. So about Aurelio, he has been living in Auroville for 35 years and working with the enterprising project Svatam Sound Experience, the craft, arts, and science of musical instruments, with 85 local artisans, specialists, and therapeutic applications in a shared life journey of exploring spiritual practices in daily life and what it takes to live in consecration. And so we will turn it over to you, Aurelio, and as always, we'll be open for any questions or comments that the attendees would like to make. You can put it in the chat box or in the Q&A. So with that, Aurelio, over to you.
Good morning, good evening, wherever we are gathering. We have this amazing benefit of the digital media, which ushers us into this age of connectivity. I feel very honored actually to be in contact with LaGrange and your study activities. I think at this moment, not only in Auroville's history, maybe in the unfolding of the yoga, it's very important that the different centers and activities are coming into resonance, that we really can experience that we are all, how to say, the children of the universal mother in this amazing adventure of consciousness. And so I'm very happy that you are really doing an amazing job, a very good job of bringing people together from the different centers, people who are sincerely studying, people who are in the sadhana. And I thought actually, because we have been exploring the 4 great aspects of the Mahashakti since the beginning of the year almost, that it would be appropriate being here, being based in Auroville. I was inspired actually to share with the community a walk through the Madhya Mandir Gardens at the onset of our shared hour that we have together, and then possibly also share with you a day in the life of Auroville, the possibility of integrating the 4 aspects in the work which we are doing, and specifically being with this beautiful gift of Mahasaraswati in the details and workings of our daily life. So we prepared a map, so I will have just some images accompanying this journey. And basically, Madhya Mandir, if we look at the first impression is that it's an oval shape. Can you see the map? Not yet?
Not yet.
Okay, so then I'm sitting here with Sek, our collaborator in the studio.
Here it comes. It looks like it's starting to come up here. There we go. We can see it.
Okay. So what is very significant about Auroville, I think, like in the ancient times, that the cities, the conglomerations of humanity formed around sacred centers. Yeah. And that, of course, the sacred center is aligned. And why I thought actually I wanted to bring you and invite you into the gardens, because with the building of Matrimandir, which the mother was so clear when Auroville was founded, that the first focus shall be the building and of the center, creating the core of the experiment of Auroville. And we have basically, we see that it's aligned in the directions of the sky very clearly. I will come to it. It's not 100% due east. There's a small shift in the orientation towards east. When we come to that point of the east axis. And basically, we have the matrix of Mother symbol, the zodiac, the 12, and which represents the inner qualities, the verities of the soul, and around the inner chamber, which is silent and quiet and white, the crystal in the inner chamber is basically dispersing or creating the full spectrum of colors, so that the divine energy which is manifesting radiates in all directions of life. And interesting enough, the 12 petals are also surrounded by 12 gardens. So there's this very strong focus of the matrix of 12. Besides that, we have two other important elements in the oval, in the area of peace, in the center of Auroville, which is supposedly to be surrounded by lakes. So we call it also the island of peace. And that's the banyan tree, which you can see in the upper left side with the Garden of Unity, which actually presents the physical center of Auroville. The Matrimandir is the created cultural center. And the significance of both of the natural center and the built spiritual center is actually a coming together of humanity in the third factor, which is represented through the amphitheater, which with the lotus bud of the urn, in which the Auroville Charter was placed, and a handful of soil from all the existing nations at the time of foundation in 1968. Yeah. So that's an overview of the garden. Very nice, actually, in the concept of the architect. And Mother really, she gave lots of, she had a vision of Matrimandir, and she gave indications of the gardens. In the left upper corner, we see the gardens of the unexpected, which evolved so beautifully over the last years, because many of the families with the Auroville-born children, and Mother said every soul which is coming to Auroville is actually choosing to be part of the experiment. I'm so happy to see those young little babies and families in the gardens of the unexpected. So this is the map, and we will go a traditional pradakshina. We will move around it in the circle of the clockwise. And before that we're not only seeing that it's an abstract kind of like map, that it's a reality. I wanted to invite Vladimir if he can share that little film. It's a trailer of a very beautiful video series, The Matrimandir and I, where many of the original Aurovillians are basically relating their relationship and the significance of Matrimandir. Hold back. Okay, so if we just... Matrimandir stands as a beacon of hope for the transformation of humanity.
I think the beauty is that everyone understands it differently. It has a different meaning to each person.
There's no other modern city that I know of which has a spiritual center.
So many people gave, they gave everything. They gave their money, they gave their life, they gave everything to make Matrimandir happen.
Also, the Mach Mandir having been built by so many generations of Aurovilians is important.
Mach Mandir stands as a beacon of hope for the transformation of humanity.
And so powerful. Every person on the planet deserves to experience it.
Mach Mandir to me is like a place where we can go and forget everything. So it's like a place where you can find peace like immediately. So you enter there and then you forget everything. It's just like such an environment that just makes you end up like in a second or something.
So, thank you. As I mentioned, actually, the beautiful thing is that Madhur Mandir is really a manifested, multi-dimensional symbol, where the Madhur Mandir is at the focus of it. Yeah, it's the center, it's the silent center, it's the inner chamber, pure white, just with a crystal, a transparent crystal receiving the vertical ray of the sun, which is channeled in through the heliostat from top. And that ray of the sun goes all the way through Madhur Mandir, actually to the lotus pond below. Now, as I mentioned, around Madhur Mandir, there are many different features. And I thought in our journey around it, we can explore some of them, but with a focus on the 4 aspects of the mother. So we enter basically already now, there is already a channel all around the peace area. And you can see the image. Now we have the image of Madhur Mandir now with us. Yeah? Okay. So we have to cross already a bridge from a mundane world, from all the activities, from the 4 zones of Auroville. We cross over a bridge and enter the gardens of Madhur Mandir. We go clockwise, and we first enter the garden of light. Now, very interesting. There is a beautiful correspondence between, let's say, when I'm walking since more than 30 years around Madhur Mandir, twice a week. Basically, I spend twice of my evenings there. And there is a beautiful correspondence between the petals shining and radiating energetically into the gardens. So Garden of Light, it's a good beginning because we have that petal with that chamber of a very strong, vital red color with the meaning of courage. So it's good to have some courage at the outset of a small production. We cross that Garden of Light and immediately come to the northern axis. Yeah? We saw in that map very clear that elliptical space has 4 axes, and in the northern, the axes are basically determined by the 4 pillars. So as Ruud Lohmann in his beautiful diary of the construction of Madhur Mandir related the house of the millennium, the house of the 3rd millennium, yeah, the house of new creation, as it is described in Savitri. It's actually resting on 4 pillars. And in the northern pillar is Mahakali pillar. Interesting also that this, orientation flows. Mother gave indications into the 4 zones of Auroville. So Mahakali pillar points out into the industrial zone of Auroville. Yeah, the energizing, the generating of income, the productivity of Auroville, the power, the manifestation of power in Auroville.
Aurelio, I just wanted to touch base. We're still on the first slide, right? Just want to make sure that.
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. Thank
No,
you.
do you see the map or you see Madhur Mandir?
No, we do see Madhur Mandir
Yes.
and the petals and
So
the lake.
what I'm We will see that image of Madre Mandir all the way around.
Okay, perfect.
Just we have that focus traditionally in the Indian nomenclature. Madre Mandir is almost like the bindu, the still point. And we let the gardens circle around it. I wanted to show the water, the island aspect, and the bindu. Yeah. Once we reach the western axis, we switch to Saraswati. Okay. So we're moving around. After the northern axis, we come into this beautiful new garden with the water fountains, with the water pools, flowing water, very refreshing, the garden of bliss. And we continued in the next garden. The beautiful thing also around Madre Mandir, more and more it's evolving, that we have the sound of water linking as kind of a resonance, all the different fields. In the next garden, we have this beautiful, this is actually from this garden of consciousness with the lotus pool and a 7-stepped waterfall towards the center. Garden of consciousness. Why now, if we look towards Madre Mandir, the petal in front of us harbors the quality of receptivity, a very beautiful, gentle orange, yellow orange. And the next garden is actually a nice contrast. It's very quiet, the garden of existence, and it has, I don't know who was recently there, a few of the people of Rajan saw it. Mr. HB will definitely know it. The garden of existence has this solid, huge crystals of which were basically brought from Brazil, and they bring in such a weight and clarity into the whole round of the gardens. It's a really deep anchoring place. And that brings us already then on the eastern axis, which is the shortest axis in that elliptical configuration. And on the eastern axis, it's the Mahalakshmi pillar, forming the foundation or offering the foundation for Madre Mandir. Very interesting. Now coming to the alignment of Madre Mandir, the eastern axis on the 4th of April, on Sri Aurobindo's arrival day, which is, what would that be, 14 days after the spring equinox point, which is usually used in all the traditional sacred buildings as the orientation. But Madre Mandir is shifted off, possibly already pointing into the future. On the 4th of April, one of the petals, one of the discs can be opened, and the rising sun, it's a very beautiful event, falls directly into the chamber and on the crystal, and illumines the whole inner chamber. It's a very intimate gathering, usually in early morning. There's 20, 30 Aurelians experience that space, and we are all in awe. It's kind of like a confirmation of the sacred alignment of the building. Now, from the east, we continue our journey. We're moving now towards the southern side. And you see on the left side of this picture, that's in the second garden. We cross the garden of perfection, which is still
Aurelio,
dormant.
sorry.
Yeah.
I have pictures of these gardens. Would you like me to show this?
Yeah.
Because you don't have any picture. You're just telling us about these crystals. I can
Yeah.
show them if you want.
Okay.
And many more gardens around because we
Yeah.
create.
You know what? Because for me, it's only an introduction.
Okay.
Yeah. And I thought actually it's good because we are so much in the visual, no? And I thought actually how to say, by me telling and listening, like in the old form of oral traditions, you're listening and the imagination should work a bit. Yeah, I'm teasing the listeners. Yeah. Okay, so we see in this picture, we see the Bodhi tree, which is a beautiful pendant to the banyan tree. The banyan tree is the community tree, the village tree with all its roots descending into the earth. The Bodhi tree is the solitary tree. the tree under which the Buddha sat, and the tree which leaves are rustling in beautiful fragrances. The tree is standing in the Garden of Harmony, and presently there's some construction work going on. Yeah, so we don't have yet. There are 2 more gardens which are not finished, and this one is in the works. We cross the garden, and from that next garden, we see already behind the scene, we see this huge dugout of the future lake of the area. Yeah. And coming to the western axis, to the southern axis, basically. Yeah, we started in the north, we crossed 1 quarter to the east, we're crossing the 2nd quarter into the southern axis. And what's so beautiful for me on that southern axis, there's this sense from here, we reach down to the southern tip of India, we reach down all the way through an immense vast ocean, all the way down into Antarctica. And I'm mentioning this image because that's where the pillar of Maheshwari is creating the foundation for the new world to descend. Well, we're coming into a last sector, and I said we're just doing this brief pradakshina as an introduction, and then hopefully we can use that moving motion of moving through the cycle of time in a day. Yeah. So we have opposite the garden of progress. And this is very interesting. I followed very nicely Dr. Marco's presentation last time, where she so beautifully talked about the evolution of progress from the material progress into the vital progress of humanity and the intellectual progress, and hopefully opening into a different layer, the progress of the inner being, of the inner calling of humanity. And very interesting that we actually have a garden of progress, and opposite to which we also have a petal of progress. Yeah, in Mother's symbol, the pure orange color is the color of progress. So it seems that actually progress is the signum of evolution, that something is moving and it connects the inner with the outer. I have this sense of there's this secret lock, and it clinks in on progress between the inner qualities of Madhya Mandir and the outer field of manifestation. And then already, if you recall that map of the gardens, we come into the amphitheater. The amphitheater covers 2 gardens. There is the garden of utility and the garden of wealth. And very beautiful in the chambers, that's the blue spectrum. We have the battle of peace and the battle of equality. And I know, as I said, I'm teasing you with all this beautiful imagery and teasing you so that you feel interested to explore it deeper, and hopefully also be next time when you're here that we can really experience it directly. Now, I think so now we can shift, because through the amphitheater, as you said, we crossed it now clockwise. We entered on the upper side, really on top of the map. We crossed it through those different gardens, came, and here this is it's a picture at sunset, because the sun is shining from the long western axis. Yeah, and very interesting for me, that's what just came over the last weeks in preparation of this seminar, that the western axis Mahasaraswati pillar is really reaching into the earth. It seems for me almost like the runway of Madhya Mandir. Yeah, it's the base, it's the landing ground. Yeah? It's possibly the descent of the new creation of Madhya Mandir is landing through that axis. Mahasaraswati is the closest to manifestation Yeah, and she takes care of all the details of the manifestation. So I'm suggesting, how to say, we made a full round. We can take a little rest under this beautiful protective canopy of the banyan tree that you see. And we basically now, actually, before we go, we take this in, the experience of the center of the city of dawn, of this laboratory of evolution. I'm so grateful that we have this center with all its significance, so that in all activities of our daily life that we can bring, how to say, that symbolic values which are manifested in a three-dimensionality in matter, we can bring those significances into our daily life. And here, and we can, through this powerful manifestation, and as you can see, it's almost really finished. Of course, the gardens will continue to evolve. We can open ourselves in full confidence to, in Sri Aurobindo's word, I'm quoting from Mahasaraswati, the ever-present help, pointing to the eternal sunshine. She is firm, quiet, and persevering in the deep and continuous urge that drives us towards the integrality of the higher nature. As Sri Aurobindo also mentions that nothing is too small or apparently trivial for her attention, I dare to invite you now into her field of action, as I do experience it in my daily life in Auroville. And I hope actually that this can also be meaningful in your own life circumstances and inspire you to meet and invite this, quote, mother to our wants, a friend in our difficulties, a persistent and tranquil counselor and mentor, chasing away with her radiant smile the clouds of gloom and fretfulness and depression, reminding always of the ever-present help. And we can really count on her, as she is, as Sri Aurobindo describes so poetically. She's kind, smiling, close and helpful, not easily turned away or discouraged, insistent even after repeated failure. Her hand sustains our very step on condition that we are single in our will and straightforward and sincere. While we have been exploring in our imagination the progression through a space, I would like to invite you now actually into the movement of time. Yeah? The movement, how the planet in its rotation is creating day and night. And I thought it might be interesting for people who are really exploring how to bring more awareness and consciousness in our daily activities, which is the domain of Mahasaraswati, to follow, kind of like, follow me a little bit on my journey through my day. And the premise for this journey is, which we say so lightly, but I think in Auroville, for me, it's unfolding over this last 30 years. And each day, I think I grasp a little bit more of it, that all life is yoga. That means every circumstance offers a possibility that we can actually become aware, become conscious, and we can progress through it. Now, already in the Ayurvedic paradigm, there's this in this most ancient science of life, there is one of the most important teachings of Ayurveda is the practice of dinacharya, the cycle of the day, and what we can do to enhance our physical, our vital, our intellectual, and our social and spiritual well-being. And the mother also, basically, she offers us a similar secret key, which was already so beautifully described and sung, I'm saying, in the Divine Gita. Yeah? In Krishna's introductions to the warrior Arjuna, how he has to deal with the challenges he's facing there in the battlefield of the world. And the mother's secret key to which she gave us into the activities of our world is her way of consecration. I've had the fortune that over a few years with some old Aurovilians, Vladimir might remember Bhavana, and B, whom we always saw in the film, we practiced over quite some time in a communal effort, consecration practice, and the mother's, her simple formula was remember and offer. In every situation, there's a possibility, especially when we are challenged, when we get out of sync, when we get off center, that we can remember, yeah, and offer that situation to her. Call her presence into that situation. Okay, so let's start with the moment of awakening every day. Yeah, it's almost a taunting thought. No, go back. Doesn't matter. It's almost a daunting thought that we spend almost a third of our life in a state of unconsciousness, yeah, in sleep. Yeah, there are ways, mothers should give amazing instructions how sleep can become more conscious. And the thing is, possibly we are only asleep to that state because that state, as we are told, harbors actually superconscious layers. Yeah? We know in the descriptions of many saints and the mother how active she actually has been through the night. But here we are. We've hopefully spent a good 7 hours in rest and in sleep, and we are waking up into a new day. So at this moment of awakening, yeah, what is our first impetus? Maybe we are awakening, maybe even before our opening our eyes. What is the soundscape around us? Is it the same every day? Is it shifting? What is it telling us? Is it challenging us? Is it inviting us? So how are we experiencing that very moment of waking up? Hopefully there's a moment of receptivity, this orientation in a shift between dimensions. Yeah? Then as the earth is moving, and I'm usually, I wake up, I sleep on the roof terrace in the hot summer, and I wake up before dawn, basically with the first coming of the birds, the bird sounds, the lights, the muezzin from the village. And for me, it's always so astounding, actually, how fast the earth is moving. Yeah, you see the sun of the horizon. I'm possibly doing a Surya Namaskar, and in the course of this exercise, the sun is up already another 15 degrees. Yeah. So what is the first impetus when we're still possibly lying? Yeah? On this edge of awakening, what is moving us? What is calling us? Yeah? Are we in an automatic reaction, or can we be really alert? Can we catch that precious moment? After this first opportunity, basically, to really be aware and be in that presence of the creation. Very likely, actually, we need some water. I think that's the routine of human hygiene, that we come in contact with water, with the gift of water, with the fluidity, with its clarity, with the refreshing quality, washing off that veil of the slumber, washing off the ignorance. Another possibility of refreshing us. We have very beautiful descriptions of the mother in her bath chamber. You know that she often had these deep experiences. She fell in trance while possibly brushing her teeth or being there in that moment. How are we meeting the substance of the water? What's the quality of the water? Possibly also, how to say, as part of the hygiene, usually in Ayurveda, I'm drinking a glass of water. What's the first act of taking physical substance into the organism? Waking up the organism, bringing the organism into an exchange with matter. So even, how to say, that contact with the substance of the water. Another beautiful opportunity, actually, from our, hopefully in the morning, our story, our legends, our myth is not as present. And so we have the possibility of being completely fresh in that meeting ground with the water. Hopefully we are fortunate enough then also to be able to give some time on the onset of day, preparing ourselves for the great work in the world, to have time to welcome the body, that miracle of the embodiment, the body in its stillness. In my case, once hygiene is done, I come back to the roof and the sun is not yet up, and I can just place myself in stillness, reconnecting to the stillness of the night. Isn't it amazing that our body is actually almost lying for 6-7 hours in stillness, while the whole system is regenerating, re-energizing it? We know in the science of health now that sleep is the most important factor of regeneration. So then the possibility of coming in conscious contact with the body and its, not only its stillness, its movement, to bring a really awareness into the instrumentation of the body as an adhar, as a vessel, adhara, the body as a vihara, the body as a temple, but the body also in its dynamic qualities as a vahana, as a vehicle. Vahana, a vehicle of the gods, a vehicle of energy. So like in the traditional practices, body awareness, and as a second layer, if the body is sufficient open, if the body is flexible, if I experience the possibilities of rising, of falling, the directions of left and right, of front and back, of contracting, of expanding, that brings me naturally close to the energetic level of the body, the breath, awareness of the breath. So I think I'm very happy actually if I hear in Auroville many of the people who are here and in a serious contact with the yoga, basically they take the time and have the time for body awareness, for breath awareness. That can be just breath awareness, observing the breath, listening to the breath, or working with the breath, joking, harnessing the power of the prana through pranayama. And hopefully, if there's a bit more time, having gone through the vehicle of the body, experienced the energy layer of the body, that there's also time, and that's how usually the process of Hatha Yoga unfolds, that there's time for contemplation, yeah, training the mind, observing the workings of the mind. What is the state of the mind at this very day, and how can I focus the attention of the mind, the process of dharana, of really centering the power of attention. I think everyone has different ways of working with the subtler and faster, more mobile layers of the being. Yeah, is it through a process of diving into a deeper contemplation, dhyanam? Is it through a prayer? Is it through studies? Is it through opening a scripture, reading some poetry or inspiring literature, opening to the knowledge of Shastra? Or possibly also in my case, is it time really for a vocal expression, setting an intention, a prayer, a call, or possibly just a simple hum, a sonic carrier wave, which is informed by focus and attention, a simple offering. Having welcomed through a morning practice, no, I think we have something else. There's one picture of the breakfast, no? Okay, go back then. No, it's okay. Okay, we've been missing one slide actually, because we are following me so nicely with all the images. I wanted to offer you now a beautiful breakfast, a wholesome organic breakfast. Yeah, the morning practice is done, and that opening into the gifts of metta, which is offered through the abundance of Annapurna, the mother in nourishment, the mother in the food. Yeah. Mother describes the possibility, or how to say, the way of eating, that eating can be as deep as the deepest contemplation and concentrated effort that we can have. The tastes, how are we savoring? Are we savoring every morning? What is the process of breaking our fast? Yeah, having the body regenerate and resting, having the organs in a restful state, and then bringing that organism into motion again through physical substance. How are we doing that? What is our process? What are the different qualities, the textures of the food? What are the scents, the tastes? Yeah. Are we having a balance? Or what are preferences? Is it only the sweet? Are we having an intake? Can we savor the bitterness of life? Yeah. How are we dealing with this? In Ayurveda, it's beautiful. In a perfect meal, we want to have all the tastes on the table. Has to be some sour, some pungent, and the salt of the earth. Okay, so I think now with that nourishment, I'm sorry that actually I couldn't offer you that beautiful breakfast table which I had spread out. I looked for quite some time so that you would be all inspired and that your taste buds will start. I think now with the breakfast time, we're ready to move into the world. And I wanted to take this inspiration. We basically, in this morning world, we are descending from the subtle realm of the night, from Maheshwari's realm of the vastness, coming into an energetization of the system, opening to the blessings of the day of Mahalakshmi, and being ready to participate in the activities of the world. Those activities, interesting enough, while Saraswati is described as the scientist, the builder, the architect, she's also the musician. Interesting that in the Indian iconography, that most of the forces, the goddess, they all have instruments, different instruments. Huh? Shiva is coming with the Damaru, bringing, energizing everything. Krishna is luring the creation with the sound of his flute. Saraswati, she's playing on a string instrument. She is playing on the law of creation, on the harmonic order of creation. So now it's interesting to see where are we placed in our life. Yeah, where is our field of activity? How does our learning process unfold? Where are we put in life? What is the field of our possible progress? And I think we can move. What are we aware actually before we enter into activity? What is the luggage we're bringing with us? What are we bringing from our upbringing? What are we conditioning through our culture, through our background, through our nation, through the way where we were born into it? Can we be aware of the program which we carry in us before we come into activity? Can we lessen the possibility of reactivity, that we can be fresh in every moment, that we can be in awe, that we have a sense of adventure with every situation? And through all of this, what is really at the core of the being? What is the Swadharma? What is our unique purpose, the unique note that we can contribute into the dance of life? So we are ready to set into the day. And the question, as I said before, where is our work field? Is it at home? Is it in an office? Is it in an atelier, in a creative space? Is it solitary? Is it in a collective process? Is it hands-on? Is it in nature? Is it in the social field? And one thing very clear, that in my observation, also through my colleagues and fellow sadhaks in Auroville, that we are all and everyone is in the right place. We're all placed where our learning is happening. A quote here: in her constant and diligent arrangement and rearrangement of things, her eye is on all needs at once and the way to meet them. And her intuition knows what is to be chosen and what rejected, and successfully determines the right instrument, the right time, the right conditions, and the right progress. Okay, so in my specifically, for me, Auroville was a huge change, actually, really into this constant learning journey of all life is yoga, because I was much more comfortable sitting in a solitary cell in a monastery. And I've been in Christian monasteries and Buddhist monasteries of different denominations in Buddhism. And being thrown into Auroville, it's such a rich and dynamic and versatile field of activity. So in my own day, I do need a time of concentration. I have to have a solitary, I have 2 hours before I actually really get into action with all the involvements I have, because once I'm coming into the Swaram enterprise, where are 85 people working, there is a very beautiful dynamic field, lots of unexpected things happening constantly, and on all layers. There is a technical layer, there is a financial layer, there is an artistic layer, because the people from the R&D department are calling me and they're working on a new invention, on an innovation. And so there's a constant shift between those faculties of minds which are needed in the specific situations. Then there is the whole social component. Working with the indigenous Tamil artisans, there are often lots of interpersonal social complications, people from different villages, people from different clans, constantly problem solving and mediation necessary. And each one of the situations demands, a different attention, a different approach. And the possibility, often I get kind of like thrown out of sync through some surprises. Can I be present with that situation which is right in front of me? Okay, we can do one. Very interesting, as I said, all the different layers, from practical involvement in the crafts, in land work, in infrastructure challenges, into planning work, into group work, into teamwork. In all those, in one way, we are so gifted. If I compare it with my old early monastic time, of course, in a monastery and ashram, also there's lots of work, but it's in a very deep, concentrated space. And for me, I think actually that was my preparation for the dynamic field of transformation of Auroville. And it took me more than 25 years that I can say I really appreciate it. I'm really grateful for it, because it really keeps me on my toes. And maybe with the background of knowing that Madhya Mandir is there, Swaram is exactly in the northwestern direction of Madhya Mandir, I can refer either to that place, or I see where is that inner verticality of the presence. Of course, there are many possibilities of getting lost. Yeah, thousands of them, thousands of moments where we can get lost, and those few moments where we actually have that awareness and the presence is there, and everything changes. Yeah. And I learned actually that often the most difficult situations, this is where the call, the urgency is strongest, and often her presence comes in the most immediate form. So constantly that call of remembering and offering, and the possibility that in all these dynamic happenings, is actually what I mentioned it. For me, only maybe over the last recent years, that there's also the delight of this whole amazing, powerful dynamism which is happening around it, and the stillness and the joy of the inner light and the inner center experiencing it all. Yeah. So I always often suffered through the contact of the world, through the challenges, the pragmatic challenges of the world. But I think Auroville really gifted me that space through the practice of remembering and offering, that more and more that inner practice can shine through all the activities. And as we see here, this flower the mother called a constant remembrance of the divine. Yeah? This constant possibility of remembering, as she has gifted us through her messages messages of the flowers in so many ways. Another quote from Sri Aurobindo Mahasaraswati. I think I had said it before. She's firm, quiet, and persevering. Perseverance is definitely a quality which is needed in that whole process. I think actually I had somewhere else what are the main key features which we can harvest from that process. Constant remembrance, perseverance, equality. And we can see that actually all those qualities are described, which help us through the day. They are there in the mother's symbol. In the different aspects, the different colors, the different qualities, the different frequencies. The humility of being ready in every moment of possibly understanding that we don't have the full solution or the best solution, that we need to be flexible, that we might not have the truth, that we might to adjust and adapt to a situation. Yeah. The goodwill in every situation. Yeah, very important. I think Mother actually, in her invitation for people to participate in the experiment of Auroville, she said, all men of goodwill are invited. It seems to be the basic condition for being able to sustain ourselves in this very intense field of transformation. And as described in the Gita, possibly one of the most important fruits out of this intense process of being in the fullness of life, equality. Finding that sameness of not preferring and not hankering and not clinging and not aversions to situations, facing what is there in front of us. Each one of them plays such a part, and I'm so happy actually. I don't know if Mr. HP is there. I asked him once about his secret of his success, and in his inspiring lectures to students and education, what is for him the key of success? And he just pointed, we have in our workshop a very big symbol of the mother with the qualities in 4 languages. And Mr. Rama said, that's it. This is what we need in our workings in the world. Well, timing. Oh, okay. There was one more picture, a very beautiful flower of the message, the purity arising from perfect consecration. If we practice that way of concentration, if we more and more in this remembrance and offering, it brings a purity, a stillness, a quietness in the face of all the different circumstances. Yeah, so I'm not sure. So in the journey of our days, so this is the working day. Zach left out a few pictures, but it doesn't matter. It shortens our journey. I'm also not aware of the timing, where we are. Rather, where are we with our timing?
Sorry, just had to unmute. We're at 10 o'clock. We're at the hour. So we can always spend a little time. I mean, take your time and complete, and we'll just see then if there's any questions or comments, Aurelio.
Okay.
HP is raising his hand for one.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know if he meant that or not. That's why I was just going to.
No, I'm just wanted. We're not through yet through the day, because if you really, so now it's basically in Auroville, it's after this amazing involvement in all the activities of Auroville, returning to the nest. Yeah, the evening of the day, as important in the practice, in the learning of the sadhana. For me, actually, the mornings and the evenings, they are the practice to sustain the presence during the day and in full activity. And the evening often in Auroville, very beautiful, it brings also the focus and an invitation to participate in the collective, in the collectivity. How are we cultivating the collectivity? Is there something like a collective yoga? I think if we take Auroville as a hologram of the transformation or evolution of the consciousness, then as I understand the Mother and Sri Aurobindo's teaching, the necessity not only of individual transformation, but also of the collective, preparing the collective vessel for the transformation, so that whole humanity can participate in this transforming process. I've been yesterday, for example, I went after a long working day. There was a very beautiful classical Indian concert, Sarod concert, which allows the possibility of completely realigning the being in the verticality of the Saptasvaras, of the 7 notes of the ladder to creation. I guess that each one has their own way of rounding off the day, closing the day with whatever practices is there. Very important in Auroville, and for me also very beautiful to understand that most of the people actually really also cultivate their evening time. And that brings us basically close to the last station, the lotus pond below the Madhya Mandir. I hope that some of the glimpses of my own going through from the awakening process, the morning practice, going into the dynamics of the day, returning into the quietness, into community, into culture, and cultivating the being further, and possibly and hopefully also preparing the being for the adventure of the oncoming night. I remember my times, and I'm missing it actually in the monasteries. As soon as the sun was down, there was no more worldly concern and worldly thought. Everything was shifted, how to say, into an attention of universalization of the being and into this unknown transcendent realm, which we possibly actually tap into it in the time of Sushupti, the deeper layers of our consciousness in our sleep. Okay, I think this brings us, we were going horizontally through the Madhya Mandir gardens. We went the whole journey through a rotation of the earth, of the planet, and a day. And I hope that actually there were some glimpses of inspiring for your own journey through the days, and how we can basically harness this amazing knowledge which is given to us in creating more presence and calling the presence in whatever we are encountering in life, and making all life as our yoga. Thank you.
Thank you, Aurelio. This was a Dinacharya journey through Auroville with the mind of Aurovillian, looking at the Madhya Mandir, coming around, and then the whole day around in the Aurovillian setting, which is quite interesting because it brings some kind of inner sense of what Auroville may be, or what life in the future of mankind may be. Thank you so much. That was unexpected, wonderful journey. And we have HP raising his hand. I do not know whether it is, yes, HP, you are traveling now in Scandinavia.
Oh.
Yes, you won't believe, but I am in nature's garden, very near to where Aurelio comes from, in Norway.
Oh, Aurelio is from Austria, yes.
Yeah, but Norway, it's mountains. We have lots of
Austria.
mountains in Austria. Yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, so beautiful. I'm traveling through the mountains here, garden of nature. And I think you are right. We connect inner being through nature because it represents purity, beauty, and harmony.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
what Mahasaraswati and Mahalakshmi wants us to be part of. Thank you for sharing your knowledge on a practical side.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you, HB.
Thank you also, for me, I don't know if I mentioned that I feel so blessed that actually that the pioneers of Auroville created that garden for the practice. I always had that image, I shared it once with Vladimir, the description when Savitri on her journey on the quest, she comes into the forest, into the garden setting, the colony of the rishis. I often had that image of Auroville, and I think we have all different kinds of ideals. Right now, we're in an amazing churning ground, almost in the Kurukshetra, in a battlefield, with the circumstances, but still the power of nature and the presence of Matre Mandir and her force is stronger than everything else.
Oh, wonderful. Rajan or Marco, would you like to? Yes, please.
Yes, I would. Thank you, Aurelio. It was a wonderful presentation. And I just wanted to point out that it so happens that this weekend is the summer solstice. And, when we last met and you were so kind with your time and a wonderful studio that you had there that we had an opportunity to visit, you were talking about some of the planetary frequencies and the various aspects of sound with related to the planets. And I wondered if you could talk a little bit more about that for people who may not be aware.
You know what, that I think it would be a separate chapter, and we had that before. Sometimes we had new perspectives on the work with sound. I really feel, I feel blessed that maybe through my one-pointed focus over the last 40 years into the realm of sound and frequencies, that knowledge of, in the Indian tradition, it's a knowledge body of Nada Brahman, and all the gifts receiving, from within the integral yoga. Our work is so rich, and in one way, it covers also the full range of frequencies, from working with special needs and music and healing, working with crafts and the indigenous people and this whole rural social development grassroots work, into beautiful research work. I have some international sound engineers here and technicians and scientist people, psychologists. We're doing really studies into the whole spectrum of frequencies. Vladimir, I worked over the last week. I have now basically the matrix of within an octave, we have 5 notes, 7 notes, or 12 notes. In the Indian system, 22 notes. I opened today a list with which I'm working with a young researcher. I have 480 frequencies within 1 octave. And they're all determined and have specific functions and correlations. The amazing thing, I think, in Auroville, any field of work in which we dive with a very clear focus and purpose, it just opens layers and layers and layers. I'll be very happy one time to speak about the work with the cosmic frequencies. And as you mentioned, so important, tomorrow is a very significant day for all of us on humanity. So that's why the solstices and equinoxes are significant, because we all experience basically the same qualities and alignment of the Earth in relationship to the solar center.
Yeah, wonderful.
Yeah, thank you, Aurelio, for this presentation, because it is, especially for me, it brings to my mind also our encounter there. When I met you in Auroville, and I met also Vladimir there, and it brings to my mind a lot of remembrances, memories. And I must say that also very curious happenings come to my mind, where I went to the Matre Mandir with Vladimir, by the way, and we went there for meditation together. And And I didn't want to go away from there, but Vladimir said this one time, "Oh, okay, let's go. I said, oh, no, a little bit, no. Let me. So I also stressed you out a bit in your availability in presenting me Orville and so. And I came there in a moment which was quite critical because there was a big thunderstorm, and more than a thunderstorm, there was a real volcano. And it was the first time in my life that I experienced such a force of nature, because sometimes we have thunderstorms here, but not real things like
cyclone.
that.
A cyclone.
Yes, it was a real cyclone. And so my question is perhaps a bit more material, technical, about an update about Orville after so many years. I remember this cyclone damaged well, a large part of the green belt, yeah, and fortunately, as far as I know, Matre Mandir did not have any damages. And yeah, is the green belt at this point, is it back to normal? Or is it in what kind of situation is it?
The green belt faces right now, it faces another kind of danger. We saw it in the lockdown, that astounding quality of regeneration of nature.
Yeah.
No, we saw it in the North Indian cities, that the mountains appeared, that the wildlife came into the American cities and all of that. Nature has an astounding capacity of regeneration. Yeah. And actually, as I said, at that time, there was almost 30%. It was the cyclone Tane. It was also the most powerful cyclone we had. And it destroyed 30% of the green layer. But actually, how to say, there is no sign of it right now. People might feel actually that it's not nature working, but it's the development push of the Indian government working, and people think, oh, the green belt is destroyed and the trees are cut. But actually, we are in this phase, and possibly a very important transition, partly an existential crisis also, because there's a strong push for development. And of course, how to say, Auroville is a beautiful eco-village and a beautiful green regenerated landscape. But the vision of Auroville was a critical minimal mass of a universal city, a universal township. And so right now we are in this development push. And for many people who come to visit, they're a bit shocked because they're big, how to say, chunks of the forest are cut out, and concrete roads are laid by the public work department and all of that. So there is a big controversy happening. But I think deep within, everybody knows we are here. What you brought so beautifully in last week in your presentation, the key word is progress. We are here for progress. We are here for an evolutionary progress, and there is no going back. We only can go forward, and often going forward and pushing through brings pain for the sentimental attachments of what was and what is nice and the comfort we had. Yeah, but I think Auroville, the present situation just mirrors, as the mother always told us, Auroville is a hologram, a reflection of what's going on in the world, and what all this upheaval and this very strong and often very questionable developments in the world, we also face them in Auroville at this moment. But I think Auroville was created actually to find solutions for those problems. So if we would master to handle that situation much better with the government, that could actually have a positive effect in many other places for humanity.
Yeah, every crisis is an opportunity, right?
Yeah. So now we have to ask Rade how we're doing timing, and if there's some questions out there.
Yeah, I don't see any questions, but if any of the attendees do, you can put in the chat. But it doesn't appear that we have any questions. I would just like to add earlier that this has just been a marvelous sharing on your part, and it just it reminds me and hopefully everyone else just to be aware every moment during the day, right? To be conscious of what's going on and to be aligned with the light, to be aligned with the elements, and to awaken each sense, as you did so beautifully in your presentation to the different elements. And I love, of course, that you bring in Ayurveda, because that's a really important modality here at LaGrasse that we've been emphasizing throughout our intensives and will continue to do as we open our new facilities. But I thank you so very, very, very much. And I see HP is back on and may want to say a few parting words from Norway. And you're muted, HP. You're muted, HP.
Sound.
Yeah.
We need your sound.
Not on mute.
Yeah, you're on mute. There he goes. Okay.
Yeah, Aurelio, you always bring a new dimension to the same truth that Shervindo and Mother has given us. Thank you so much for your participation in LaGrasse webinars.
Okay, very happy. I would like to invite just around to close off one aspect actually in the traditional, in the tantric tradition. There are different ways of invoking the powers of the mother, the aspects of the mother. We are so fortunate with this beautiful mantric, poetic, lyric description of Sri Aurobindo's, I'm saying the essence almost, the desolation of his teaching in the mother. And I would like to invite, maybe I just can do it 3 times. I do it usually when we have another yoga sessions, the yoga of sound. The Saraswati Bija, I'm also using it with our staff in Swaram, is basically consistent of 3 sounds: A, E, and M, which is quite extraordinary because in the English that would give us the word aim. Yeah, so there's a very clear focus and direction in it. And physically, it can have its effect in different ways. What I'm inviting you, and I will just chant it 3 times. It's from the circumference, from the A, which is open in all directions. Yeah, I'm aligning in a verticality through the E, yeah, which is a very directive sound, and then let that energy melt in the M, in the heart. Yeah, really bringing the power of Saraswati close into our heart, because she is such a beautiful and precious companion in our earthly existence. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you again, Aurelio.